Tommy Best, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now, here's your host. Incarceration, America's rock, metal, and tattoo festival with Slipknot. Falling in Reverse. Five Finger Death Punch. Plus Marilyn Manson, 3 Days Grace, Beartooth, Knocked Loose, Lamb of God, Parkway Drive, I Prevail, In This Moment, and so many more. Report to the Ohio State Reformatory on July 18th through 20th, 2025 to face your sentencing. 3 days of rock, tattoos, and the return of the Haunted Blood Prison. Passes for Incarceration are on sale now at incarceration.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle, and talking with young musician, keeping rock and roll alive for the next generation, Sierra Levesque. What's going on, Sierra? How you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. Thanks so much for having me. How are you?
I'm good. You're not by any chance related down the family tree to Triple H, Paul Levesque from the WWE, are you?
No, I do get that question a lot. People think I am, but nope, I have no relation. The closest relation I have is my mom's a journalist, and she interviewed him back in the 90s. So that's the closest relation, but nope, no relation. I do love wrestling, though. WWE, I love that. So maybe one day I'll get to meet him.
Yeah, I think so, at a family function or something, but
Yes, but no, thank you for clearing that up, because people always ask in my comments, and I have to keep saying no. So this is the official telling that I'm not related.
yeah, I just gave myself away as being a wrestling fan, from the back of the day.
That's okay.
So.
I am too. I'm a big wrestling fan.
Awesome. And then usually, this is funny because I always ask this question as the icebreaker, but I guess, I'm talking, you're probably one of the youngest guests I've had on here, but originally, what did you want to be when you grew up? And I guess you're still growing up, but like before music, like, did you have any other aspirations when you were very little?
Gosh, I don't really remember anything where it wasn't music related. I know I started doing music things when I was 3, so I'm not too sure before that what I would have wanted. I know there was times where I said that I could be an astronaut. Not that I really liked the idea of space, but maybe the astronaut idea was floating around in my head at that young age. But yeah, ever since I can remember, it's always been something music related, like a singer or a rock star. And I guess it's kind of stayed that way. So yeah.
Yeah. And then what kind of helped guide you to, or got you into music? What was like some of your early influences that caught your ear?
Yeah, Guns N' Roses was a big one. My dad used to put that on
nice.
while I would fall asleep in the car. So that, Ozzy, a lot of Motley Crue, Bon Jovi. My dad's a big 80s rock fan, so pretty much Hair Nation and Ozzy's Boneyard, the Sirius XM channels, those were my whole childhood and still now. So that's what I can remember very early on. I know when I was 3, my parents first heard me singing along to an Avril Lavigne song, and I guess I had memorized the words, so that was their first sign that, hey, maybe Sierra likes music. But yeah, it's always been kind of those main artists who have just kept me going and first inspired me.
Nice. Yeah, it's funny because it's like, I'm a lot like your dad, big fan of a lot of that type of music, and I try and get my daughters in it, like Sweet Child of Mine. That'd be like my lullaby to them and stuff growing up and everything. And then but their mom ended up beating me out in the long run with pop music and stuff like that. So
darn.
Yeah. I mean, they've been to some rock concerts with me and enjoyed it and stuff, and it's been nice memories. But but if you look at their rooms, it's probably still like Justin Bieber, and he's beating out everything. So
Oh gosh, yeah. I used to be a big Justin Bieber fan when I was young. That was my first concert, actually, embarrassingly. My first concert was Justin Bieber, but you know what? Then finally I was awoken to the rock idea, and then my first rock concert was Kiss. So ever since then, it's been no looking back. And sorry, Justin Bieber, he was pushed to the side.
Nice, nice. It's funny because I've had so many musicians on here that are like closer to my age and everything, and it's like we always talk about like our gateway into rock and metal was Kiss. So
Yeah,
it's good to see
same
it's
for
still
me.
working with you.
Yep, perfect. I still love it.
And then when was I mean, obviously, younger, you sing the Avril Lavigne songs and stuff like that. But when did you start like really getting into learning music and playing music?
Yeah, well, when I was 3, my parents put me into musical theater. So that's when I started singing and performing on stage. But I didn't learn an instrument until I was 7. That's when I started taking piano lessons. And then from there, I started taking drum lessons when I was 10 because my dad thought it would be cool to like get the rhythm instilled into me. So there was that. Then when I was 12, I started learning guitar and then bass when I was 13. So yeah, I kind of went in like a step-by-step order, but I think it was good because it kind of gave me the foundations. And I was always really scared to learn guitar because I used to look at people who play guitar and their fingers would be all messed up and they said that it hurt and I was like, oh no. But yeah, those days were hard when I was 12. I first started and there was a lot of crying, but I look back on it and I'm glad it was my third instrument because I was able to make sure I had the drive to want to practice. So that was good. But yeah, ever since I was 7, just been learning as much as I can. And yeah, that's when I started really working on the instrument side of everything.
Nice. And that's like, so you're basically could be a one-woman band playing all your
Yes,
instruments then.
I guess so. Yeah, that's kind of what I call myself when people ask, oh, like, what do you do? I say, I do everything. And then I explain it. And yeah, people think that that's something cool. So at least it helps me stand out a bit because, yeah, I just love being able to say that I can do everything. And it's much easier than having to, hire other people or wait on other people for practice. So yeah, it's been good to know everything.
Yeah, all you basically have to do when you take the show on the road, I guess, would be hire, people to play the music that you wrote,
Yep, 100%. Yeah, one day that's my goal is to have like a backing band. Right now, I've actually been playing along with backing tracks of myself playing everything else. So that's been good for the smaller shows because some venues it's really difficult to get a full band. So yeah, right now I've just been doing singing and guitar and then I play on top of myself doing drums, piano, bass, everything else. So that's good in the meantime. But yeah, one day that backing band will be helpful for sure.
That's incredible. And two, when you go along down the line, more royalties for you, right?
Yep, yep, that's how I see it. I mean, hey, you know what? I also started learning about the business part of it early on. I started doing like college courses when I was around the age of 13. So, I mean, ever since then, I'm just like, you know what? The more I can do on my own, the more I will do because unfortunately
And
drama happens and it's just good to be self-sufficient.
yeah, no, I love that because that's what I was going to suggest, but you're already on top of it because like
Yeah.
I know my oldest did like show choir and she loved singing and wanted to do music and everything, was going to go to school for that. And I'm like, well, you're better off learning that you got a good voice, but learn the business end because that's where all the stuff happens. And if you can, dot your I's and cross your T's and all that good stuff down the line, it'll protect you
Yeah,
going forward. So
100%. Yeah,
that's
that's true.
awesome. And what's like in your area? You're saying playing in with backing tracks of yourself and stuff. What's like the music scene like where you're at?
Yeah, well, I'm from a really small town in Canada. It's called Pembroke, and it's kind of near the capital, Ottawa. It's about an hour away from there, and there is a very big hub of country. So, growing up being a rock singer, I would do a lot of pop stuff as well, and I'd perform anywhere that I could, whether it's at a country barbecue, to a mall, a backyard, anywhere where I could perform, I would. So that helped me a lot. But yeah, it's mostly country. So the rock thing isn't too popular there yet, but recently I actually moved out to Santa Monica in California, so that's where I'm based right now. And luckily here there is much more of a rock scene. I mean, LA is where I always wanted to live, and luckily I'm doing school, so that's allowed me to be here. But yeah, it's just like here is where I can finally do rock shows with other rock artists and rock musicians, and it's not all country. And yeah, so it's been a great opportunity to do a lot more and a lot bigger venues as well. But yeah, you know what? The country thing, at least it raised me up knowing that it's a little harder to get into certain industries. But yeah, you know what? I think it was helpful growing up there so that I could get the experience. But now I'm definitely where I'm meant to be.
Nice, nice. And is your family up there with you now?
They come visit me often, but no, I moved here alone. Yeah, it was like it was a big life change because I'm an only child. I've never lived alone. And then it was just like, well, I'm going to LA. Here we go. So yeah, they come
Wow.
and visit me every now and then, but I'm very grateful for their support. And yeah, they're going to be coming to see me again soon. So I'll be going back to Canada for the summer, doing some more shows there, back in the country scene. But hey, it all helps. So whatever I can do to practice, I like to do.
Gotcha. Yeah, as a father of daughters myself, it's just like, yeah, it's got to be, worrisome for them. You out
Yes.
there in LA, it's like it's good to you have the intelligence to learn how to play all the instruments. You're doing the learning the music business, so to speak. But there's so much other things that you hear horror stories about. So always surround yourself with the right people.
Yes, luckily I have been. It's been a slow build. Didn't really have too many friends when I first moved here for the longest time, but now from playing shows and from just going out to so many different rock shows, I finally made some good friends who now I play shows with them. So even this week I have 2 shows and they're both from people who I've met at other rock shows, which is great. So I'm really happy about that.
Nice. I've been blessed to get to meet via like something like this. A lot of musicians that are out there that are, and I'm 16 years sober, part of
Oh, wow.
a recovery
That's awesome.
community. So, I've got to meet a lot of good musicians that are out there that are trying to do the same thing. So, hopefully,
Yes.
I know there are a lot of good people out that way.
Yes,
But
luckily
yeah,
there are. And congratulations. That's a great accomplishment. That's amazing.
thank you. Thank you. And then, like you're saying, it's like, you're singing, you play, multiple instruments. And now you're also like, writing your own music and everything. How did that come about? Like, how's that process been? Like, not just writing the notes, but what's your inspiration for like writing a lot of your songs as well?
Yeah, I started songwriting when I was 7. The first minute I learned piano is the first song I wrote was called Hollywood Disguise, which is a weird manifestation because I never knew I'd be living out here, which is strange. But yeah, ever since then, it's kind of one of my most fun things I like to do. Songwriting's my biggest passion. I'm actually doing right now college online for songwriting. So when it came to deciding what to do after high school, I thought, you know what? Songwriting's my biggest passion, so I'm doing a Bachelor of Songwriting from Berklee College of Music, which is very
Nice.
fun. So yeah, I think my process changes based on the song. Most times I'll start with a guitar riff. If I'm at a piano, it could also start with piano, but right now it's mostly guitar. And then from there, I usually build the vocal melody, so I hear what I want to sing. But then the lyrics right now are the thing that come the hardest, which is really depending on the year. Yeah, they used to come easier, but now it's like, okay, I have to find the right lyrics to fit with that riff and with the melody. But then for inspiration, usually it's about the way I'm feeling about a topic. A lot of my songs are kind of a little angry right now. That rebellion, angst. I know a lot of people feel that way, and I
Yeah.
sometimes wish I could hear more rock songs about that, especially new rock songs, because a lot of the pop songs of today are about boys and about like all that kind of stuff. And that's fine for a few songs. But for me, I want to hear like against authority. I want to hear about rock and roll. I want to hear about being mad, not just about boys. So
Yeah.
that's what I try to write. And it's just something that I know I would listen to as a fan. So yeah, usually my inspiration comes from personal feelings of just how I feel that day or how I feel about a topic, or if I'm angry about something, that's usually where it comes from.
Nice. I just interviewed a guy that was a journalist and author that actually originally was going for a political science major in Washington, D.C. and working on Capitol Hill. And
Oh,
he was
wow.
so disgusted by what he saw in the political world. And this was like back during the Reagan era. And then he got involved with the punk rock, the anti-establishment scene, like the angry people
Yeah.
that were voicing their opinions and stuff back then. And that's what music's supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be like really going along to get along. It's supposed to be like, hey, this is wrong, and I'm going to yell and scream and tell you why this is wrong. I also talk with a lot of people that what's helped them with songwriting, and maybe, I don't know if this is something you already do, is just like a lot of them are into journaling to help express their feelings or what they got going on in their head or what they're dealing with. And then they go back and they read some of what they're journaling, and they can turn that stuff into song lyrics or whatever. So
Yes, yeah, that actually has helped. Usually, if I'm really lost, but I know what I want to write about, I'll just start writing as much as I can about that. So I have like I use my notes on my phone all the time. I have so many notes of just very long paragraphs, and then sometimes I try to take stuff from there that could sound good together. So that is a really good tactic to use.
nice. And then like you said, you kind of went through like the timeline or whatever, the levels of learning the instruments, but what was like your daily regimen like? It was almost like a workout plan, like, okay, for this amount of time I'm going to focus on learning this instrument, and then once I get the muscle memory and stuff going for that, you reach, like they say in working out, you reach a plateau and then you move out to the next muscle thing. What was like your regiment learning instruments?
Yeah, when I was younger, I definitely had a very strict regimen, like from the age of probably 12 to 18, because I was at home, and especially a lot of that was COVID. I would say, oh my gosh, like half of my life felt like COVID, even though it wasn't that long. It felt like a long time. So during COVID, it felt like, you know what, now is the time to really get down and make sure I have this strict daily routine. So what I would do was each day it would be like a certain amount of time on each instrument. And then once I felt good about a piece or a song that I was trying to learn, I'd move on to the next goal, whether that was writing a song that week or doing a live stream. That helped me grow my social media following a lot, because at first I was just focused solely on the instruments and I wasn't really working on the self-promotion. So yeah, around my teenage years, especially early ones, were a lot of just, every morning waking up at this time, doing this, going to rehearsal. I had so many lessons, whether they were in person or on Zoom. I would have a lot of lessons, sometimes even like 3 lessons a day. So yeah, it would be just a lot of sitting, learning, focusing on one goal, whether it was a song or something to write, and then moving on to the next goal. And live performances helped too, because if I had a show that week, I'd be working on the set for that. But yeah, it was just kind of like, once I felt really good about drums and piano, I put a lot more of my time into guitar. That's the instrument that I put a lot of time into. But on drums, I ended up doing like so many different exercises and songs, and I even did music contests for drums. And then for piano, I did a lot of classical training. So I would do like examinations each year where I would be sat in front of a judge and they would judge me on like classical pieces. But at one point I was just like, man, this is as much classical as I can take. I need to move on to learning more guitar. So yeah, from there on bass too, once I could write riffs and once I could feel good about that, that's when I really kind of mostly started working a lot more on guitar, and that's where we are today. So I still practice as much as I can. Every instrument I have to use for recording my own songs, so I still need to be able to write things and play good enough. But yeah, each day it's kind of just working towards a goal has been my best way of doing that.
Nice. I mean, a lot of discipline and determination, and also like, taking that negative time period and making it into a positive for growth.
Yes.
I talk to so many people, like I mentioned, being in recovery. It's like, when we couldn't go to meetings and meet each other, a lot of, before we got hip to Zoom and everything, a lot of people unfortunately went back out. They couldn't handle it, and I looked at it like, my daughters are young women like yourself, and they are out with their friends and dad's not cool and all that, and it's like they were stuck at home with me for a little bit, so we like kind of rebuilt our relationship and stuff during that time period. So it's like just trying to make a positive out of that negative time, you know?
Yeah, no, it's definitely at the beginning of that, everyone was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? But then luckily after the time went on, it felt like, okay, I can take something bad and make it productive. So yeah, it was just a good way to learn about myself even, and I accomplished a lot during that time. So yeah, it was just like crazy to look back on that it was already, my gosh, like 3-4 years ago. It's really feels like time flew between now and then. But yeah, I was doing a lot of work for sure.
Yeah. And it was, I mean, positive things for your own mental health, just to stay sane during that time period. So
yep,
it's awesome. Now, I want to ask you about your single New Generation. Like, what's the message that you're sending out with that? This is kind of like more like your introduction, like here I am, listen to me, you know?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the singles that I had leading up to this were all, a whole bunch of different vibes from, I have one love song that I released, but only one. And then I have a ballad. I did a few other rock ones. So I did some Christmas songs leading up to this. And now I'm planning on releasing my debut album in September. So this is kind of like the first little vibe of the album. It's an earlier song that I wrote actually right before COVID. So I've been having this one waiting for a while. But yeah, when I wrote it, I was thinking of a lot of songs by like Twisted Sister and Joan Jett and, kind of like My Generation by The Who, but not. That was kind of a little bit of inspiration as well. And it was really just about how rock and roll is here to stay. There was so many, and still is, so many people who say, rock is dead, rock is dead. And I wanted this to be kind of like an answer to that. So I wrote about how I feel about that. And it's also great crowd sing-along, always great to have people singing along. So every time I play this one, people are singing along, getting involved. And yeah, it's just kind of my rock anthem. Say, here we are, the new generation, rock and roll is here to stay.
Nice. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's like, people can say what they want, like about, like, I mean, like Guns N' Roses, I'm a big fan of them,
Me too.
and, you look at the new music coming out and everybody's like, well, it's all like auto-tune or whatever, it's all electronical, it's lost its life or whatever. But, I mean, not everybody's like learning each instrument like you are. You're definitely keeping the rock and roll alive by learning and mastering the instruments instead of having a bunch of, whatever your recordings are when you perform, it's recordings that you recorded. It's
yes.
you know? So that's amazing. That's definitely keeping the rock and roll alive. I love it.
Thank
and
you.
Then,
that's the goal.
like for the video, like where was that filmed at?
That was filmed, I would say, maybe around 20 different venues. That was a lot of live performances all put together in one. Like I said, I perform a lot. So yeah, I wanted to take every single piece of footage that I had from that song and put it into the video as much as I could. So yeah, it was all the way from here in Hollywood at the Whiskey A Go Go, I performed there, to the Yukon up by Alaska. There's a show I did there that there's footage from. A lot of shows throughout Canada and the US. And I also did an elementary school tour last year where I went to 10 elementary schools in my town in Canada. And I played that song, and every single school I got all the kids to say, hey, hey. So there's so many videos of them singing along, and I wanted to add that as well. So yeah, every single video that you see is me performing it live somewhere. And yeah, it was fun for those elementary schools to be part of it too.
Yeah, I like that part too. It's like, I mean, here you are, you're only like 20 years old, but you're stepping into to be an inspiration for these younger kids coming up, that, hey,
Thank you.
I mean, that's gotta be, it's a heavy hat to wear, but at the same time, it's gotta be, feel good,
Yes.
to be a positive
gosh.
influence to keep the rock and roll torch burning out there.
Yes, it was really great, and I'm hoping to do it again soon for even more schools. That was kind of just a test to see how that would go, but it went really great. So yeah, hopefully in the future even more, and I'll have more footage.
Nice. Now I saw too that, and speaking of good people in the music industry, you got to work with Bumblefoot. He helped like produce and mix some of your music. He's a past guest on here. Great guy. He's definitely
Awesome.
somebody that I would definitely, definitely keep in contact with under that learning tree. But what was that? How did that come together for you? And what's that relationship been like?
Yeah, gosh, it's been crazy because, like I said, I mean, and you as well, Guns N' Roses fan, huge Guns N' Roses fan. I grew up again with my dad. I would fall asleep to Guns N' Roses, and my dad's favorite era and favorite album is Chinese Democracy, which is kind of a hot take. I know people don't always like that one, but yeah, I grew up with that being like top album ever. I know every song, every word. So my dad even went to go see them live back then and has a picture from like 2012 with Bumblefoot. It's just weird how that works. And then in 2019, Bumblefoot went to Ottawa, Canada for a show and a guitar clinic. And I went to attend that guitar clinic. I was so excited. I met him. I got him to sign my Flying V guitar that I had. It was so cool. And then he started following me on Instagram 2019 after that. And at that time, I had a guitar teacher But unfortunately, around the exact same time when COVID happened, that guitar teacher was diagnosed with brain cancer. And
Mm.
so it was kind of a issue of, oh my goodness, like I've been doing everything with him. He was a great mentor to me, and I don't know what I'm going to do. So I thought, you know what? If I could learn guitar from anyone, who would it be? Bumblefoot. I mean, he's just crazy at guitar. And at that time, I didn't even know how to write a guitar solo. I was learning more rhythm stuff. So I thought, hey, I'll reach out. So I messaged him right at the beginning of COVID. I said, hey, would you be interested in teaching me guitar? And he said yes. So ever since then, we would do guitar lessons every week, sometimes even twice a week. And that was all throughout COVID. So 2020, 2021. And then around that time is when I wanted to start recording my own music. So he also started teaching me mixing, mastering, producing. We would do Zooms where he would show me his computer and he would mix everything, and I would learn so much. So yeah, ever since 2020 now, 5 years, every song I've recorded, I record everything myself, do all the tracks, send him the tracks, and then we mix it and like co-produce it together over Zoom. So yeah, it's been a long time coming, and never thought I would even get to meet him or work with him. So great to have that. And yeah, every single song that I've been releasing, he mixed, mastered, co-produced, and every guitar thing that I've learned over the past 5 years has been from him. So very grateful for that.
Yeah, that's amazing. He's definitely one of the good ones out there. So
Yes.
that's great. And he did a little like thimble technique. He showed his thimble technique when I interviewed him and everything. So it was a great conversation.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned being a student now at Berklee. Now, so you're out at the West Coast one, then,
yeah,
right?
I'm doing it fully online. I know that it's in Boston. I've been to Boston for a few summer camps from Berklee, and I love Boston, but
Is there a satellite station out there, or you're just doing it from home?
I'm just doing it from home.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of doing all my courses. Sometimes they do have special courses out here, so I'm hoping to do some of those as well, but they also offer internships. So I've done quite a few internships now here in LA for school credit, which has been great. I did one in a studio. I did one at a music marketing firm. So yeah, it's kind of like best of both worlds. I get to do college and learn hands-on, and yeah, but I love Berklee, so I'm just glad they have this option.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to interview like young artists from Berklee. They've come out and played one of the music festivals we have here, Incarceration, awesome. in Ohio and stuff. Okay. And I've been able to interview them, and just it sounds like an amazing school. And yes, what's your experience been like, so far?
Yeah, well, it's been very, very good. Sorry for the siren. They're not coming to get me. I live near a fire station, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, it's been very good. I've, like I said, done quite a few summer camps there, so I always knew I loved the environment, the teachers. And then when COVID first happened, that's when I first got a glimpse of the online platform. And usually, I would have never guessed I would have done college online. I thought it would be in person, but hey, online worked very well for me. I like getting my work done alone. I like being a self-starter. I like not really having to follow too many rules because, online you just get the work, do it yourself, and you have one live class each week. So it's worked great. And yeah, I really enjoy it. And I'm already in year 2 out of 4. So I'm over halfway there now. And just excited to say that I went to Berklee, even though it's kind of a different way, but always loved Berklee. So I'm glad to be doing it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Any any instructors that have really helped you that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, the first Berklee course I ever did, one of the first ones I ever did, was really memorable. It was actually rock history. So it was a 12-week course about every single year from 1930 until today. And that was a very, very great course. It taught me a lot. And the teacher would have live classes each week, and usually it's supposed to be, like about 15 students in the live class, but it was only me every week. I was the only one showing up to the Zoom, and at that time I was probably around the age of 12 or 13, so I can only imagine he thought that was probably funny. But yeah, each week it would be an hour-long Zoom where it would just be me and him, and he would ask me about the course and ask me like very in-depth questions, so I really had to know what I was talking about. And that stuck with me today. So that was Professor Horan, Jim Horan. I believe he's still in the Boston area. So if I go back there and perform sometime, I hope to see him. But yeah, that was a really great one that really taught me a lot about rock music that I wouldn't have known. So that was one of my favorite ones.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
And then, I read that you've already had like a feature in Guitar World magazine. How did that come together for you?
Yes, oh my gosh, that's my dream is to be on the cover of Guitar World magazine one day. That would be so amazing. So yeah, any chance I get. When I was younger, I would like just randomly send messages on Instagram to people, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And one day, one of their writers found me, and the first thing I got was a feature online. So it wasn't actually in the magazine, it was just on the website, and that was enough for me. That was so awesome. And then one day at the end of last year, the same writer reached out and said, "Hey, we're asking a whole bunch of guitarists what they thought of 2024 guitar-wise." So like he sent me the questions. He told me, "Yeah, we're just gonna ask you about like your favorites of the year, all that stuff." And I didn't know if it would actually be in the magazine or just online again. But every day I would go to Walmart in my town and I would look on the rack where the new Guitar World came out. And one day I looked and there it was, Sierra Levesque. So I was very excited to even have my name in it. And yeah, one day hoping to maybe be on the cover. That would be crazy. But Guitar World's my favorite. So that's definitely a favorite memory of mine.
That's awesome. Instagram's been a success for you so far.
Yes, yes, a
Connected with
lot of things.
Bumblefoot
Like
and
I
Guitar
know
World.
things that I never would have thought would have happened. Most of them all came from Instagram, which is crazy. So thank goodness for Instagram.
It's funny because I get made fun of a lot too for being an older guy trying to, because today everything's so like streams and social
Yes.
media driven, and it's just like here I am, retired military, and I'm like, trying to get into this podcast game, and I'm just like, can I just have conversations with people and record it? Oh no, I got to promote it and get on, all the TikTok and all that other stuff.
Yes.
So that's where my daughters, I call on them to help me out once in a while.
Well, there we go. That's the best. Yeah, it's definitely hard. I mean, even just posting, I try to post once every day, and that's really hard. Just trying to think of stuff and edit it, and it's so much work that people don't even think of. So I can't just do music. If I could, I would just write songs and perform. That's all I would do. But man, I have to make posts and do so much stuff, but at least it helps in the long run. So yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah. Now, you were saying that you're get ready now. New Generations off your first full length album. Get ready
Yes.
to come out. Do you have a
Yes.
date set for that yet?
I would say very early September. I'm thinking somewhere. There's a few dates floating around, either September 9th or 13th as of right now. The album does have 13 tracks, so that's going to be maybe, I thought 13 goes well with 13, but we'll see. It's definitely going to be the first half of September. Still trying to get everything sorted out for that, because right now I'm just used to marketing and getting ready for singles. So an album with 13 songs is a whole different monster that I'm still preparing for and getting ready. But yeah, definitely first part of September.
Nice. All right. And then with that, I mean, you said you've done like some kindergarten tours and stuff like that, but any other to promote once the album's released? Any plans for touring to support that?
Yeah, well, right now I'll definitely have shows in both Canada and LA at that time. I already have one in LA. I'm going to be headlining a show on September 10th, so that'll be the week of the release. That'll be a nice show to do, and I'll hopefully get to play as much of the album as I can. But yeah, as soon as the album comes out, I'll be doing as many shows as I can in as many cities, because that's going to be a big marketing endeavor. But yes, for sure, some in Ontario, Canada, and then LA, and we'll see if any other cities come up. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot for sure.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you're up for the task. I mean, you've
Yes.
already been showing how disciplined and determined you are.
Yes,
so
I'm excited.
I'm excited for you, and hopefully it makes it out to Cleveland. I'll bring my daughters to come see
Thank you. Yes, for sure, man. Are you near the Rock Hall of Fame?
Yeah. I live right by the
Okay.
airport here, so
Oh,
it's
that's
like
awesome.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's probably like 15-20 minutes away from me.
Cool, that's great. Yeah, one of these days I really would like to go out there. I might even one day do an internship there. So we'll see. I had an offer last year to do that. So yeah, I would love to make it out there sometime, and I'll definitely book some shows.
Nice. Awesome. And then like for any fans out here that are hearing about you maybe for the first time and are excited about your journey and want to support you and follow you, where would you send them?
Yeah, you can find me on all social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, everywhere where you have social media. My username is the same. It's Sierra Levesque Music. And then if you'd like to hear my music, you can hear it on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Tidal, Deezer, YouTube Music under Sierra Levesque. Please check it out, and I'd really appreciate the support.
Awesome. Awesome. And then real quick before we get ready and wrap up, I want to ask you like a few questions I normally ask my guests that I have on.
Yeah.
Looking back, I mean, you were taking a lot of college courses even in high school or before high school, it sounds like, to get ready for this. But is there a particular class you feel should be mandatory for people today before they graduate high school?
Let me think here. I might say even music history because, like, man, if people knew more about it, I feel like they could appreciate it more, you know? I feel like it's just like there's music class where you learn things, but a lot of people in high school specifically don't even like music class because they're like, oh, it's boring. Like, why are we doing this? I feel like if there was one music history course where it would just give you like an overview of everything from the beginning to now, I feel like that could be really cool. So I would probably say that one.
Nice. Nice. And I don't know if this is something that you've already looked at, because I mean, you're now getting into the music business thing, but one of the number one answers I get from a lot of the older artists along the way is that they wish they would have got more classes on their finances and taxes. So
yeah, no, that's true as well. You know what? I took a few accounting classes in high school. Luckily, they offered those. That helped a bit. But yeah, that's another one. That'll be on my list for sure.
Yeah, add that on your list, man, because I don't want you to have all this success and then the IRS takes it away from you. Like
oh gosh, no.
MC Hammer or something like that. Yeah. And then who are 3 people who've inspired you and you can credit for making you the person you are today?
But like people in general or musicians?
Yeah, people in general, like people through your life.
Yeah, I would say, you know what? I have 3 parents, so I'm going to name all 3 of them. My dad, my mom, and then my stepmom. And luckily, they all have a very great relationship with each other, even though they're separated. We go out all together for dinners. They take me to my shows. Ever since I was young, they've driven me everywhere. They've paid for my lessons, rehearsals. So you know what? If it wasn't for the 3 of them, I wouldn't be who I am. They've really instilled all the great values of practice and being goal-driven, and all 3 of them kind of give me something different, whether it's like life lessons, business lessons, they all kind of help me. So all 3 of them have shaped me for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. I had like my dad and my mom. My mom was my dad's second marriage, and but he was always, and she was very close and still got along with my dad's first wife. You know, I had like half brothers and sisters and stuff, and it was great. You know, there was no like, they didn't work out or whatever, and you know, as a couple, but they were able to move on and still be friends for the kids. And it's like, even though she wasn't my like birth mom, she was like a second mom that like really like doted on me and stuff. So it was just like, it was a great environment to grow up.
Yeah, that's the best. And it's definitely, I'm really grateful for it. And yeah, I wouldn't be where I am without the 3 of them. So thank you to them.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then any causes or organizations that you support and encourage others to check out?
Let me think. I mean, there's so many great ones, especially like music-based. I know Music Cares right now, especially for a lot of people. I know there's all the wildfires that happen out in LA, but they also help any musician in general, I believe, with, you know, financial support. And also I know they help with healthcare support as well. I think, especially for the whole US, Music Cares is a good one. They also have like fun internship programs and grant programs that I've been applying for. So that's a great one. Also, another cool one is called Gritty and Pink. It's like a marketplace for all women, and it's kind of like a lot of women rockers on it. So I believe even if you're in Canada, US, any country, you can go on there and say, hey, like I play bass. If anyone needs a bass player, call me. And so that's a great place to find anyone you need really for any type of job, whether it's a photographer, musician, songwriter. It's kind of like a marketplace, but for women musicians. So that's a cool one as well.
That's awesome. Awesome. And then favorite toy as a child?
Oh gosh, favorite toy as a child? That's a good question. I really, you know what? Monster High dolls. And it's still my favorite toy. I'm still a child because it was like the cool rock and roll version of a Barbie. I had Barbies, but they weren't as cool. These Monster High dolls are like really cool colors and themes and kind of like look really rock and roll, and they had like stripes of white and black in their hair, and now I'm even taking over that. So yeah, Monster High dolls, I still love them, and those were my favorite. I used to play with those a lot.
That's awesome. And then you have you mentioned, and I haven't got to ask this question in a while, but I'll bring it back tonight because you mentioned early on, like being also a professional wrestling fan like myself. Who's your favorite wrestler?
Man, well, that's a good question because now they've switched leagues, they've switched companies. So it's kind of sad. But at first, when I first started getting into wrestling, it was through my parents. They're huge fans. Like they're like mega fans. I'm kind of more just a byproduct of a fan now. But I think I'm coming into it as I get older. So when I first started being interested, and I actually sing the national anthem for a hockey team called the Ottawa Senators. It's like NHL. And they had a wrestling night, and the main guy who was coming was Dolph Ziggler, and I was so excited because I knew his brother Ryan on Instagram, and his brother said, "Hey, like my brother wants to get a picture with you. Go find him." So that was the first WWE star that I met, Dolph, and now that he's in TNA, he's actually doing a tag team with his brother Ryan, and man, they live out here in LA. They've come to my shows. I've gone to their shows. I feel like we're like a family. So you know what, Nic and Ryan Nemeth. They are my favorites.
And those guys grew up in my backyard here. They went to St. Ed's High School out here near Cleveland. And I think Nic graduated from Kent State University and stuff. So homegrown guys, man. I'm glad to hear that. And I got a good friend, Mel, that's she works for the music industry and lives out in LA now. That's friends with them as well. And so maybe I'll try and send her your way or whatever. She can give you some female guidance in the music business as well. So shout out to her. It's just such a small world. Every time I tell anyone about people, they're always like, "Hey, I know them." So that's cool. Yeah, I forgot they're from there. Yeah, they're so nice and big rock fans too. They both love rock music. So I keep telling them, "Hey, when you guys need an entrance song, I'm writing it. You cannot pick anyone else to write your entrance song. I'm doing it." So hopefully one day they'll agree. But yeah, they're so nice. So Nic and Ryan, Awesome. Yeah, I love seeing them doing well. That's great. And finally then, before I get ready and wrap up and let you go, you mind doing me one last favor?
For sure.
Mind cutting a promo ID for the show? Just introduce yourself, and you're listening to Today's Boondoggle.
Today's Boondoggle. Perfect. Anytime?
Yeah, anytime you're ready.
Okay, here we go. Hi, I'm Sierra Levesque, and you're listening to Today's Boondoggle.
Oh, crap.
Do you want me to do one more time?
Yeah, could you? I'm sorry, my alarm reminded me.
No problem. Do you want me to say podcast at the end or just Today's Boondoggle?
Whatever's comfortable, whatever flows best for you.
I'll say podcast. Here we go.
All right.
Hey, it's Sierra Levesque, and you're listening to Today's Boondoggle podcast.
Awesome. I've had professionals that have done this thing for years and haven't nailed it as good as you did. So thank you.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
I try my best.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing what the future holds for you.
Well, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. And yeah, hope to speak to you again whenever the album's out later this year. Thank you.
Sounds good. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.